everyone. Welcome to the 135th Mobile Public Affairs Detachment's podcast series, Away from Home. In this series, we're visiting Iowa National Guard veterans and their families to talk about their experiences as citizen soldiers.
Hi, I'm Sergeant First Class Tawny Cruz with the 135th MPAD. I'm sitting down with Staff Sgt. Gabriel Morey and his wife Lauren. Staff Sgt. Morey is an Iowa National Guard infantryman assigned to Charlie Company of the 1st Battalion 168 Infantry Regiment. His wife Lauren is a mental health therapist. They've been together for a few years, just got married last month, congratulations to you both, and now they're both preparing for Staff Sgt. Morey to go on his first deployment with the Iowa Guard this summer. So, Staff Sgt. Morey, you've been in the Iowa Guard for about 8 years now. Can you take us back a bit and tell us about why you decided to join the military?
I think I was kind of doomed from the start. When I was a little kid, I was always playing with like little green army men and, running around. I grew up on a farm and we had a little grove attached there. So, running around with toy guns out in the woods. And so I was always kind of obsessed with it. So my parents probably saw this coming from miles away. But no, honestly, the reason I had joined out of high school is I wanted to go pay for my college. After being in college for a little bit, I decided that wasn't the avenue I wanted to go down. That really wasn't where my passions were going to lie. Just couldn't see myself going down that path. So I had a buddy who recommended that I put an application in for a full-time job on base, and I did it, and I've been doing it since, and I absolutely love it. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. It's fantastic.
I've always known that he has been in the military, in the Army, so I don't know him before then. Because when I met him, he had just finished basic training. That's all I've known is him in the Army. But apparently he doesn't change. He just kind of stays the same happy-go-lucky personality. And I can definitely see that when he's with his family.
Yeah, you mentioned before you had a pretty big family. The wedding was big and fun. Yep. How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 other siblings, so there's 4 of us, and then I have 11 nieces and nephews.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I totally understand that dynamic. I think I'm up to like 24. Don't even get me started. I'm never going to remember birthdays. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. So, well, that's fantastic. So it's been a process leading up to the deployment a little bit. I assume even that Wyoming annual training was kind of all part of like the buildup. Mm-hmm. Gabe, can you just walk us through a little bit of all the different obligations that you've had to fulfill in terms of training between Wyoming, XETC, which is Exportable Combat Training Capabilities Rotation up at Camp Ripley, Minnesota. I assume you were there as well. Just talk a little bit about all the time that you've had to take away from home.
We went to Guernsey a few years ago, and that was a blast. I love training out in Wyoming. That's my all-time favorite place to do any training. I love Wyoming. It's beautiful out there. We had a really good time out there. And then last year we were at XETC, and I think that was a really awesome training exercise. We were out in the field for, I think it was 10 days. And yeah, we had a good time. XETC is definitely more intense. It was a lot of fun. And for a lot of guys, that was their first time going through that level of intensity of training. That was my second XETC. So it was really good to get some of the newer guys kind of warmed up into that type of like training environment, as we kind of like lead up to JRTC, where we're going to, keep going into those harder training environments. There's lots of live fire exercises we did, air assaults, all that kind of leading into, just higher echelons of training. It was great. I'm looking forward to JRTC and a lot of the training we'll get there.
And Lauren, from the other side of things, you just kind of are from the perspective where he's just gone for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Can you just describe a little bit about how you guys make that work, how you try to bridge the gap and maintain good communication throughout all of it?
Yeah, it's definitely hard, but I know that he is training and doing all this stuff to keep busy. So I try to keep myself busy, and then he will always contact me when he can, which sometimes it's every few days. And that kind of sucks, but I know he loves what he does, so I try to support that passion.
And when you think about, the upcoming mobilization and thinking about the time that you're going to be away, especially as a newly married couple, can you kind of, either one of you, just kick off a conversation about kind of what you're feeling, if there's anything that you're kind of making a plan to do in order to make sure that things don't get, too uncommunicative or anything like that?
Do you want me to start off, or do you want to?
You go.
All right. Yeah, kind of leading up to it, we've been scheduling a lot of like, we call them like mini vacations, I guess, just like spending time with each other. And then, just of course, making sure like we have finances in order to make sure she's taken care of back home while I'm gone. That's been a really big thing to start getting like squared away.
Is there a way you can describe how all of the training and kind of the time away from home and just different things that you've had to do to prepare for this deployment, how has it impacted your daily lives? And how are you communicating it to like other members in both of your families?
So I think just the general getting in the mindset for, there's a lot of like just little times to appreciate each other, and then just getting into the mindset that mobilization is coming. So I'm going to be leaving for some time, and just best preparing us for that upcoming adventure, I would say. Just in the little things, whether it be just us spending time together, talking about how we're going to handle the time away from each other, talking about our support systems has been really big. So, with me, I have, all my buddies I'll be going over there with. So I absolutely love my unit. And so going over there with those guys is going to be, amazing. And so we have that kind of built-in support system while I'm gone. For her, it's obviously a little bit different. If you want to talk on that.
So a lot of our friends I've met through Gabe. So we have a lot of couple friends, and they're all going to be going over at the same time. So I'm really going to immerse myself in with like the wives and my friends in that way, because I know that they're also going to be going through the same things. So that will be kind of a really good support for me. And then we're a couple of my friends and I have decided, like, while they're gone, we're going to do a lot of girls trips. One of my best friends lives in Kansas City, so we're all going to make a trip down there and just have like little trips that we can look forward to during this time that they're gone, to spend our time together and then, really bond and grow as friends in that way, even though we're all really great friends. But to have that experience together, because it's going to be the first time for all of us. So
that's so important. It's strange a little bit, from my perspective too. I've deployed once over to Europe, and I think, maybe one of the things that my husband struggled with a little bit was not having that same amount of thing, because like he didn't really know a lot of the people in my unit and didn't have that same kind of relationship. So it's so important that you're starting to, number one, that you already have some of those established bonds, and that you're going to do the work to make those even stronger while he's gone, and build yourself your own support network. Do you have like family around that's going to be able to help out with like some of those little house things that you don't even think about? Have you thought through that at all?
So my family lives in West Des Moines, so like half an hour away. My aunt's son-in-law and her grandson, they were over a couple weekends ago, and they had said, if you need any help with yard work, we'll come over and help you do that, or any like shoveling or anything. So I thought that was really nice and helpful. It's nice that they're willing to help out, and I know that his mom would be more than happy to come down and help me out in any way. So I really like that.
Yeah, we're really close with our neighbors, so that's been like
they're a few years younger than us, but they have 2 big labs, and our dog and their dogs are best friends. And she was in my wedding, and a couple of the wives were in my wedding. So he was like, I'm gonna have all these people. I was like, I know so many people. So all the people that were my friends were in the wedding. So and most of them were people I met through you.
Can you talk a little bit about, just what you guys, maybe like some really important moments that you've gone through together that you think will just have set you up to be successful in your separation in the coming months?
So when Gabe and I met, like I call it the second time we met, but when we kind of like started talking again, I was really going through this rough patch in life, and he kind of helped me get out of that by supporting me and, caring for me and just being like, hey, you matter. So that was really helpful for me. And then
kind of what we talked on before, just spending this time together before we go away, I think's, very important. And just remembering like all the times that like I've been in a rough patch and she's supported me, or, she's been in a rough patch and I've supported her. So just like an ongoing support for each other, I think's really like important to recall back on, and just know that we always have each other's backs and always be here for each other.
So do you have a favorite kind of memory of each other that kind of sticks out in your minds? It might be different for both of you. Maybe something that might get you through like a tough night, like missing each other.
For me, I feel like this is a cheating answer, but our wedding night, that was definitely my favorite memory. Absolutely unforgettable.
That was great. That was just, the whole day was great. I had a really fun day.
Yeah, it was really, really fun.
Yeah, I was bawling. It was fine. It was great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bawling, having fun.
I don't know if there's like a specific memory, but just whenever I'm upset, whether it's from personal things, whether it's I just saw some really sad thing on TV, I'll go to him crying. He's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And I'm like, I just saw something really sad. And he just stands up, hugs me, and he's just like, oh, love, it's okay. If I'm like staying at my mom's to watch their house and he's here, he's like, I'm sad that you're not here because it's really weird and I don't like it. So
Yeah.
So to me that just shows that he can't live without me. So
And that is exactly where you want him, right?
exactly.
Yes. Okay, you got it.
Yeah, so.
Well, that's fantastic. Is there anything that, Gabe, that you maybe want to speak to when you're gone to like help you get through those things?
Yeah, for sure. I bought a banjo on a whim when I was on a work trip in Oklahoma. And so that's coming with me, and I'm gonna try to do my best to learn that as much as I can while I'm gone. So I'm not a musically oriented person, and this is the first instrument. It was totally on a whim, and I love playing it. I was learning it pretty good there for a bit. Kind of stalled on it recently, and yeah, so that's definitely coming with me. I'm gonna try picking that up.
Are your battle buddies going to be okay with that?
yeah.
Or is there
Oh, yeah,
going to be any conflicts?
They'll learn to be okay with it.
Okay. Okay, good.
He called me one day, he's like, guess what I got? I was like, oh no. What? He's like, I got a banjo. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, picking up a new hobby to try and keep yourself occupied and give
And he
yourself
does
some
that.
goals.
He has so many hobbies. Even when like I met him for the first time, he video games, he likes to snowboard, he did longboarding, whatever.
Yeah.
He likes to mess around with different like guns and tell me all about it. And I'm like, I don't know anything, but okay.
Yep.
So with this being your first deployment, have you gotten any like sage, wise advice from people in your unit who have gone through similar experiences that have kind of stuck with you at all?
I can't think of any like specific example. Nothing comes to the top of my mind, but really I'm looking forward to like kind of focus on and just execute the mission. I'm really excited for just getting there, getting into it, and doing our job. So that's honestly what I'm really looking forward to. Get a good amount of life experience from it, and take that on and pass it down to the next generation in the years to come.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, at your rank and position, being a squad leader, it's definitely one of those prime positions to have an influence on, the younger soldiers. Can you talk a little bit about, what you enjoy about that experience?
I really enjoy teaching, especially if it's something that I'm passionate in. I can get pretty like hyper fixated on stuff. So I really enjoy, like I said, I really enjoy what I do. So just having that experience and having the opportunity really to take the things I know and pass it along, even if it's something as simple as like packing a ruck, field craft, stuff like that. I think it's super important. There's a lot of like mini nuances in that you wouldn't just inherently pick up without, some years of experience, and just taking what you've learned and passing it on to the next generation is really something I really enjoy.
And it's funny because his mom is like, Gabe, you could be a teacher. And he's like, no, I could never be a teacher.
I'm not, that's not what I'm passionate about. This is the stuff that I really enjoy. And so this is where I find my passion. And that's when I think it comes easiest.
Well, is there anything that I haven't asked you about that either of you really want to make sure to communicate, or that you feel really passionate about, whether it's about the Guard specifically or about each other?
I mean, one thing just to close out for any, especially if there's younger soldiers listening. I mean, this is our first time we're getting into it too, but what's going on in the home front just as important as, what's going on in the mission. If you kind of leave and everything's a wreck, then when you come back home, it's going to be it's going to be a terrible experience. So setting yourself up for success is really important when it comes to that. So just doing a little bit of work now to save yourself a big headache later down the road is something that I think is going to be very important to focus on. And I'm this is my first time doing it, but we're trying our darndest to, kind of stumble our way through this and, and, make sure there's not a headache while I'm gone or, when I come back home.
Is there anything else, from your end, Lauren, maybe that sticks out to you or that you really want to make sure to communicate?
I know that a lot of the Joes, is that what you call them?
Yep.
They really look up to him, and he doesn't think so, but I know that they really look up to him and admire him. So I know that if he's leading them, then they're all going to be A-okay. So.
Well, you both have been so great about sharing your experiences. I love how you seem to have a strong foundation in your relationship, and you're both being very intentional about the way you spend time together as you prepare to be apart for a year. As we've learned throughout this Away From Home series, training for your mission is important, but it benefits everyone when things are strong in the home front too. I'm Sergeant First Class Tawny Cruz with the 135th MPAD. Gabe and Lauren, thanks so much for sitting down with me today and for being such great hosts.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the 135th MPAD's podcast series, Away From Home. If you enjoyed hearing this story, make sure to check out more of our content on Facebook and Instagram.